A full bench of the High Court in Johannesburg will this morning deliver judgment in President Cyril Ramaphosa's urgent bid to halt his predecessor's prosecution against him. So, last week, Ramaphosa's lawyers argued that Jacob Zuma's attempt to privately prosecute him infringes his personal freedom, his dignity and reputation. The former president is alleging Ramaphosa broke the law as an accessory after the fact, and that's in relation to Zuma's case against State Prosecutor Billy Downer and journalist Karen Moore. Let's get you a sense of what we know so far and what the way forward looks like. Bring in senior legal analyst Advocate Romeo Nthambeleni, who joins us via our video link this morning. Advocate, great to have you on the program again. Thanks very much, as always, for making time to speak to us. So much has been said about this nolle prosecute, this certificate to prosecute privately that is in the former president's possession. In fact, those who believe that he doesn't have a case here say that, in fact, he's using the certificate incorrectly in order to come after Ramaphosa for his own ends and means. Do you reckon that Ramaphosa's legal team was able to communicate that coherently in court to ensure, of course, that he's granted this interdict?
Yeah, good morning to you, Ayanda, and the viewers. Thank you. I think what is important is to look at the agency and the requirements of agency under Rule 612 of the High Court rules. And I think that the agency of the president has been overtaken by events that actually transpired. Because remember that when the agent application was brought, it was at the time of the conference, and the allegations that were brought on the papers is the timing of bringing the charge privately prosecute the former president, the current president at the time of the conference. So as far as that is concerned, I think that the agency has lapsed, and then the agency was overtaken by events. And then the second question that follows is the interdict that the president wanted to bring against these private prosecutions that has been brought. Will that find favor in the eyes of the court? The question is whether the requirements of an interdict are met, and that is those are the questions that the court should be grappling with in this matter.
Your comments around the issue around urgency are interesting, because part of what the president is arguing is that there's continuous harm, as I mentioned, to his dignity, his personal freedom and reputation, especially in his capacity as president.
Indeed, that might as well be the case in terms of suffering reputational harm. The question is whether there's a remedy for that. The remedy is there on the 19th of January on the appearance to actually ask the courts to dismiss the application that it has got no basis in law. So you cannot for the requirements of an interdict, you will be unable to actually prove that you will suffer irreparable harm, even though the harm that you are actually suffering might be imminent and might be real. And then the question is whether that harm will be an irreparable harm. So the most important questions that people were asking themselves is whether the president should appear. If the president has got legal representation on the 19th, the legal representatives can actually appear in court and actually argue that there's no merit in the case, based on the fact that there's no certificate that you've actually spoken about to prosecute the president privately. So I think that is important.
Jacob Zuma's legal team spent a considerable amount of time making a distinction between President Cyril Ramaphosa being charged in this matter in his capacity as president and in his personal capacity. I'm not sure if you are following that line of thinking, and if so, perhaps you could break it down for us and get us a sense of why it matters. Yeah,
look, if you are saying that you are prosecuting him in his personal capacity, on what basis? Because the charges stem from him being the president of the country,
right,
and you are linking it with the certificate to actually that was issued against two people. So you cannot actually prosecute him in his private capacity as a person, because the duties that he has actually executed is the duties as a president of the country. So that argument does not hold any water whatsoever. So what is important is whether you have a basis of bringing that prosecution based on the certificate that has been issued by the NPA. That is an important question that has to actually be answered, and that is where you say that the argument has no merit whatsoever, because the NPA also has made it clear that the certificate that has been issued has got nothing to do with the president.
Yeah, you almost get a sense that this is doomed before it takes off. But you also mentioned that part of what the court will consider is, just plainly speaking, what the grounds for an interdict actually are. Perhaps let's talk about what those grounds are and whether or not we feel that in this particular matter, those requirements are being fulfilled.
Yeah, no, that's important. The requirement of an interdict is whether you've got a clear right, and then, if you've got a clear right, whether you are going to actually suffer irreparable harm, and whether you can also find recourse, within other avenues. And if those three requirements are not met, you have a problem. So in this matter, you'll find that you might meet some of the requirements, and others you are unable to meet them. You might have a clear right, not to be unfairly prosecuted, as you have actually said that the lawyers of the president were arguing that. But the question of irreparable harm that we actually spoke about is that irreparable harm is going to be cured when you go to court on the 19th to actually say that there's a remedy that the court can actually give you and dismiss this matter in its own totality. So you don't necessarily suffer irreparable harm. So all these three requirements of an interdict must be met. You cannot meet one and then the two are missing, and then the court is actually going to grant it to you. What is important, again, is that the court cannot stop criminal proceedings being issued against the person. So technically speaking, the court has no powers to, when a summons has been issued against you, to interdict a summons in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act. It can't happen.
It's interesting also, once you, drill down to the details of what Zuma is actually accusing Ramaphosa of here. We've been saying in the media that Ramaphosa is being accused of being an accessory after the fact. The crime in question here is the apparent leaking of Zuma's medical records by Billy Downer and Karen Moore. Interestingly enough, though, when that case was being heard, it was already decided that that wasn't a criminal offense. In other words, Billy Downer and Karen Moore weren't found guilty of breaking the law insofar as that is concerned. So how then does Ramaphosa become an accessory after a fact which wasn't considered a crime, if you get what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I hear what you mean, Ayanda, and that's very important what you're saying. And all these determinations that you are actually talking about and the nuances have to be decided by a court. So you cannot absent yourself from an appearance on the basis that there's no case. And then that's why we are saying that in the absence of the president attending himself, his legal representatives are actually going to appear in court and argue that there's no merit in this case based on the law, based on the Criminal Procedure Act, and also based on private prosecution. So that is very important, what you are actually stating. And the court is the one that has to make a determination that there's no case. And once that has been done, then the case will be thrown out on merit. So that is very, very, very much important. And what the courts cannot do, is to say that when there are summons issued against you, we are going to interdict the summons. On what basis? The court is not going to be able to do that, because there's a difference between civil law and criminal law.
If this interdict is granted today, I imagine the president will still have to argue the merits of this case, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The president has to argue the merits of the case to make a determination whether a proper case has been made out in summons for private prosecution. So it doesn't make the matter to actually go away. So the matter will still go in court, and then a determination has to be made by a court whether a proper case has been made out for the prosecution of the president on the basis of the nolle prosecute certificate that has been brought, as we have indicated.
Absolutely. Well, very interesting times indeed. I'm watching in real time how we all become de facto legal experts. Advocate Romeo Nthambeleni, thanks for speaking to us, helping us connect the dots as always as we watch this case unfold. Really do appreciate your time on the AM report. Judgment in that matter, we're told, is going to be released sometime this morning, and as soon as it is being delivered, of course, catch it here first on Newzroom Afrika.